And how do you spell it?
That would be Parker Brooks, P-A-R-K-E-R, Brooks, B-R-O-O-K-S.
And do we have your permission to use your image and voice?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's it.
Okay, well, I don't know how to start, but here we go. So right here what we have is wood recovered from the site. This is actually in really good condition as opposed to what we normally get. This, you can see minimal evidence of teredo worms, but a lot of what we get has just heavily infested. So something like this is good condition, it's diagnostic, it's something we love to get. After that, we get some more of the older pottery we have found on the site. A lot of this is Native American. It's washed down the river and a lot of it features a pretty good pattern on it. We can tell that.
Just pick the bucket here. When you're picking up stuff, if you can hold it up a little higher,
yeah,
closer to your face, the better. It's going to be picture like the Avon City type thing. Right around here is going to be perfect.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
All right. So
let's pick it up with the pottery.
With the pottery, okay. So what we have here is we've got Native American ceramics. We're recovering quite a few of these. They're washing down the river, and it just seems to water sort in the area. That means it's catching up on the site, and we're getting lots of really cool pieces that have, you know, pretty heavily incised and look great. We're also getting glass artifacts, things that have just wound up there. Some of these are from the site from the period, others more modern, but they give us really cool things. We're also getting various types of more modern pottery. These here, we're getting whiteware, we're getting ironware, bowls, dishes. Some of these we can get a period from. Also, we're getting coal. Coal's really cool. It goes along with the wreck. We know that a lot of this area had a lot of steamships that ran on coal. After that, we're running into, most of our artifacts are iron. We're getting various types of iron fasteners that range in size from this big to bigger to just a few inches long. These nails, spikes, everything that's used to hold the ship together.
Is that a nail?
This is a big spike, yes. More than likely this went through the casemate, which is the railroad iron, which served as the outermost portion of the armor for the ship. That would run into the wood backing. So they had to drive this through the holes in the rail through a couple feet of wood, which would help make the iron for the outer part of the ship. Also, you can tell just by how much concretion happens on the wreck that we have to go through an extensive conservation process to remove all this to restore the artifact looking as new as we can. So from there, we're taking these back to Texas. They're going to be x-rayed and conserved. During that process, we'll remove all the excess concretion to make these look as good as new.
So just for the audience here, what is concretion?
Concretion is just the buildup of sediment and organic matter and the process of corrosion that happens on the artifact. That is something that slowly eats away the exterior and all the way into the interior and can destroy the artifact completely over time. That's why we have to do the conservation process to help let everyone see what this ship used to be.
How do you remove that?
We're removing it through a combination of processes. Normally for iron, what we're going to do is after it's x-rayed and documented, we're going to slowly take a pneumatic chisel, a air scribe, and that will help remove the excess until we get down to pretty close to the surface. From there, we'll put an electrolytic reduction. That's an electric vat with a very high pH, an alkaline solution with electricity applied to it. That's going to cause hydrogen bubbles to form and also reduce some of the metal back to a ferric state. From there, after that, it's going to be looking a lot better than it originally was. We'll say that much. And we're going to go ahead and dehydrate it, well, not dehydrate, I'm sorry, rinse it off. We're going to boil it in hot water to help remove the last of the solution off, then wax it and coat it in tannic acid before the wax. This will seal it and keep it from further corroding anymore. Something interesting here is we found a hook. It's evident it's part of the wreck. It's also got a little bit of the tackle and associated wood still conserved, or I'm sorry, together, concreted. From here, what we get to do is we'll have to remove the wood, try to restore it all together, but we're going to have to separate it in order to rebuild it. We've got several examples of hooks, shackles, and just iron artifacts from the wreck. After that, we get into the really cool stuff, which is our brass and bronze. This, these artifacts really show the military nature of the ship. We have the sight to one of the cannons. This would help them judge the elevation and distance they were firing. We also have trigger guard to a rifle, which is still in really good shape, as well as a bayonet handle. Associated with that, we also have these eyes for tackle and the sabot. The sabot will be fitted on the back end of a shell when it's fitted into a rifled cannon. This would allow less gas to escape when firing and make the shell much more accurate.
Did not realize they were using rifled cannons on that.
Yep. That Civil War is the very beginning of the rifled cannon age. This was the first modern war. From there, another also military artifact we've pulled up, which is really interesting, is this grape shot. This basically transformed a cannon into a giant shotgun. So the base would be fitted into the cannon, and it also had several iron balls inside the canister. These are very heavy, and when fired would just spread out in a cone shape. Very bad for anything, a soft target in front of it. This disc with it would be fitted on the top and wrapped with leather straps. This would keep it all together for transport until it was fired. Over here we have results of some of our conservation. We pulled up 2 pairs of leg irons. These we've deconcreted and made a cast of and shipped back here. This shows what the Confederates used to. All right.
Constrain or constrain or control prisoners?
Yep. These leg irons were used by the Confederates to constrain or control prisoners on board the ship, unruly sailors. The ship was definitely a hardship post, so things like this were necessary. And we found 2 examples of this artifact. It gives a really cool idea of what life was like on board the ship.
When you say a hardship post, what do you mean?
Well, you've got to think, this ship was covered in iron rails. It sits in the middle of the Savannah River. There was very little wind flow. The engines were underpowered, so it did not make way, but they had to keep the engines going at all times. So therefore, it's a hot metal box, not moving with no wind flow. The sailors were on board. They were working constantly. It was hot inside. So naturally, people didn't like working on board. There's very little surviving accounts of the life on board the ship. But those that we have found seem to paint it mostly in a negative light. So from that, we can judge there was probably some issues with morale on board the ship.
Nice.
And all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right.
One nice way to say it. One final.
And this is also another piece of military hardware from the ship. This is the cap square to one of the cannon. This heavy piece of brass would be fitted over the trunnions to help secure the cannon into the gun carriage. So nails would be, or spikes would be driven down into the wooden carriage, and this would secure it. There would be one on each side to keep it from bucking out of the carriage when it was fired.
Not really getting your face much.
All right, that's fine by me.
Let's pick up that first thing. Is that a hook? Or
This, it's a hoop of some kind, probably I'm not even really sure. We've got 2 really good bolts here, but.
Okay, go ahead and put it back down.
They picketed the ship in the middle of the river a long ways to stop traffic from coming in or out. So with that meant they could actually aim the gun
Right.
without having to change the ship, as it was tied off by Fort Jackson. It's basically a floating battery, just a fort in the middle of the river.
Right. Okay, so tell us about the grape shot.
Well, okay. Do you want me? I don't really want to pick this up because it's all loose.
Yeah, okay, gotcha, I didn't realize that.
Yep, these are just, I've set them there to recreate how it looked.
Oh, cool, can you pick up like the top one and put it?
Yep.
Okay, good.
They don't fall off.
And you said you found those all kind of in the same proximity
Yes, these were all in pretty tight proximity.
together.
Yes, this could, and we found other grape shots since that more than likely not associated or has been distributed further. But we're processing those back in Texas right now to clean those up and give us really good representation of what the grape shot on this ship looked like. But this is the canister, or what we have of a canister. It sits on a circular base that's slid into the bottom of the cannon. The bottom effectively acting as a sabot on top of the powder. And from there it turns the cannon into a great big old shotgun. And it fired these lead balls, or in this case iron balls, that would come out in a big cone. It was topped off with another disc on top, would slide over it roughly like this. That is your shell in effect, as opposed to a traditional ball or a traditional shell shape.
Can I have you put the lid back on top of that one?
Yep.
It was hung on with leather straps, you said, right?
Yes, leather or other types of straps they can get their hands on and make.
So the leather straps would basically just disintegrate when you get fired, or?
Pretty much.
Okay.
They would come off, they would fly out, they would be burned to pieces, whatever
Okay, cool.
But they held it together long.
is really what it is.
Can you say that again? Explain what you mean.
Well, iron hates being iron. As soon as it's out, it wants to oxidize, it wants to corrode. So that's why we have to treat it to stop its corrosion process. Do you want more?
We'll do that. Show me a bayonet handle, I guess, right? Oops, same deal.
All right, same deal. All right,
Yeah. I know it seems tedious, but this will help us out so much later.
I understand.
Okay, go ahead. That's neat. I didn't realize it was hollow.
Part of the bayonet.
So the steel would have
Yep.
gone through there?
So this would fit right over the edge of the rifle, and the bayonet blade would stick through here.
And what's the inlay on the side? Is that going to be just for fancy, or is it like
The grip itself, that's on there to help increase the grip. That way, you don't want it to be wet, muddy.
I meant the other part on the other side with the little 2 screw holes.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
I've been told, and there's other people that can talk about this one better than me.
That's fine.
All right. But this is where the assembly and the spring would kick in. That would allow it to stick on the rifle and stay. You don't want it to stick into something and come off immediately. This would help hold it to the rifle.
Thus making the bayonet kind of a one-shot deal.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Huh. Didn't know if that's where the brand went, where it said like LOB on the side. Gotcha.
That's
what's the big honking thing in the middle?
the big honking thing. Well, here's our eyes for tackle. These fit on the side of the gun carriage. And what's really unique about these,
Hang on a second. I don't know what that was. Let's try that again.
yeah, that's the forklift or semi-truck. All right, say when.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so this is the eyes for tackle we found. It's part of a matching set, actually, except the other is made of iron, which is very, very interesting for this. But because the unique shape of this one, and it's long X shape, we'll call it, it's indicative of a swivel carriage, which is very interesting. We were not expecting this on the ship. So, but because of this sat and allowed the gun to move back and forth within the carriage, and also without moving the entire carriage around the ship. But it's very big, very solid, very beautiful piece.
So this piece actually shows you that the guns were different than you initially thought in the system?
From what we can determine, this alters the way we thought that the guns were sitting on the ship. We thought they were typical of a Marcelli carriage, which basically went back and forth. This is indicative of a swivel carriage, which would allow the gun to swing back and forth at a range of angles. allowed to be actually aimed without changing the entire direction of the ship.
Cool. Can I ask you to say that one more time, but this time hold up the big hunk of brass a little higher?
Yep.
Okay, there we go, cool. So tell us about how it changed what you thought.
All right. Well, originally we were predicting that it was Marcelli carriage on the ship, but because of the way this is constructed, this is a swivel carriage design, which would mean the guns could actually be angled back and forth on the ship without having to actually change the orientation of the ship in the river.
Cool, thank you. Perfect. You're good.
Unfortunately, part of it. And once it's corroded, there's not much to do for it.
Yeah.
So we have to treat it at this point to try and salvage some of the iron content left inside.
Not much anything in that part.
Perfect. That's it for today?
That's it.
Awesome.
By the time they got on site, the tide had already moved, but we did
What took them so long? to
3
get-
squares, but we
Well.
found three more artillery shells.
Nice. All right, perfect.
We're pretending we're not here, we're just trying to grab day in the life stuff. But wait.
I see they found a really cool artifact today.
Surprisingly good shape.
That's not mine.
You take more to put your hat in the box.
I think that's Jeff's.
That's even funny.
I'm preserving it now. This is today's haul. We've got a good fastener here. Piece of concretion, which we'll have to x-ray, as well as 2 small ceramic shirts. One's a rim piece, which is always good to find. You can see a little bit of texture on this one, but both Native American earthenware. And that's it for today's haul.
Can I have you hold up one more time? It's a little small for me.
Yep,
There you go, okay. So they're both Native American?
yep, both Native American.
What tribe would that be?
Around here, you'd have to ask someone better.
Okay, no, that's good. Okay, cool. I'm doing my job right if we've
You are.
exhausted your knowledge. So-
You are.
Okay. Okay.
I came here knowing how to do iron, not, well, metals. Ceramics wasn't my focus, or isn't my focus.
Hey, can I have you pick up that block and tackle that you were talking about?
Yep, sure can.
Oops, and don't look at the camera. You're just
Oh,
working hard, you know.
oh, okay. This is,
Lights in here, or is this
there's a light switch behind you. They're not real bright. It's,
every little bit helps?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm natural lit in here.
Ooh, I love the sound. Okay, cool. Go ahead and put it back down, pick it back up. Hold it up to your face as if you're really taking a look at it. Stand up straight. Go ahead, hold it. Okay, great. Go ahead and put it back down. Great. Pick up something else and hold it up high. That looks great. Okay, establishing shots be done.
Because it will last.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, you went front to back on this, talking about each of the pieces. So it was,
Started with the gun sight.
Okay.
nice. Oh, can you angle it just a little bit? I'd love to. Can you see through the sight?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if there was crud in there or not. Okay, okay, tilt it up just a touch. Perfect. And can you wave your hand in the backward so you can kind of see? Great, great. Okay, angle it down, angle it back up. It's too far. Down just a little bit. Perfect, right there. Great. Thank you. That was a fun shot. Okay.
All right, good.
Let's see here. Then you had the back of the shell, right, that you were talking about?
Oh, of this?
Yeah. Can you go ahead and rotate it around?
Yep. And this one's pretty cool because it looks like it could have been fired.
Oh, neat.
So
How
these,
can you tell?
well, because it's somewhat warped around the edges, and we're also seeing these marks in the center, which it could have been reused. We're kind of wondering about that. We're also going to take a further look at it, but it's just a really cool artifact. It's solid. It's just a really good sabot.
Would they reuse something like that? I mean, it's a nice hunk of brass, right?
It's a possibility, yes. If they could recover it, in the Confederacy especially, it was strapped for cash. They would have reused everything they could have got their hands on.
Cool.
This, I'm not really sure what this is. Just a real heavy, solid concretion. It looks like a piece of steel or iron strap. And it's got a very interesting groove in the middle, which is going to probably lead in the x-ray to be something interesting. But the thing is, you see the concretion, you see there's not only just corrosion, you have organic material living on the artifact. So that's another thing we have to remove. You have mussels, you have worms, all sorts of material that's found a way to make a habitat on these artifacts.
Gotcha. And does that further erode the artifact?
Or do they actually protect
I was
it?
gonna say, what do they actually protect?
It's not too, the organic material on iron doesn't do much. It kind of, some of the byproducts increase the corrosion a little bit, but organic material isn't as bad as the actual concretion, which we remove and fix.
So it sounds like you're mainly, when you're taking off the stuff with the chisels, it's mainly the organic stuff. Is that right?
A fair bit, yes. We try to get down to the metal or close to it.
Gotcha. You find yourself going to an oyster bar after you eat words and just going, damn you.
I think I would.
Okay, perfect. I'm fine with that.
So why would you conserve modern artifacts?
Well, quite a few of these modern artifacts are ones that are only minimal work.
Okay.
Plus, they're really good examples of what we find in the river. There's a good glass bottle in there. There's some ceramics. And also that's where I keep the coal as well.
Okay.
I don't want to mix it up with the brick and the concrete and the stone.
Gotcha. So this stuff is seawater? What's in it?
That is tap water, which partially helps, I change it every once in a while to help remove some of the salts present in the artifact. Also, it's 2 to 5% sodium carbonate, which makes the water more alkali. It stops the corrosion process. Yep.
Yeah, and the gun sight, and the trigger guard as well.
Yep. So here's our trigger guard.
Let's put the trigger guard back down. Okay, take your hands off of it. Now pick it up. I know it seems tedious, but it's quite helpful. Okay, good. Tell us a little bit about it again.
Well, this is the trigger guard to a musket. Yeah, that's what it is. But about it, the particular one we pulled up from the side, it's got a very wide base along the bottom. It still is really good shape due to its brass origin, and we still have evidence of the threads on the screws on the top. All told, it's a really good artifact.
Cool. Okay.
All right.
So what else did you show us last time? You showed us something that had a little bit of wood to it or something.
Yeah, that would be this guy right here.
Okay. Can you point out the wood?
Yep. Well,
Because that camera's all kind of a...
yeah, it's all kind of a brown blob. So right here we have the wood. You can see that. On the back side you can see a little bit of the teredo infestation as well. It's gone through what's now concretion, running to the iron here in the center.
Cool. Let's have you put it back down on the table. I'll get some close-ups of the wood wormholes. Where are the wormholes? They're on the back, right?
Yep, right there.
Okay.
Are they still active?
No, not right now. These are
Actually, can you
stabilized.
take out the wormhole? I'm trying to...
Yep.
Oh, just leave it on the table.
Okay.
Because I'm molecularly close at this point.
Okay.
So, oh, they're on the top. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, can you kind of angle it a little bit towards the camera then? Perfect, good, okay. Now try pointing them out again. Okay, one more time. Okay. Okay, cool.